Bartholonude, you wake up, and in the encampment that you guys had established the night before, you guys are still set up in this little building in which the nobleman had died. His body is still there. You guys haven't quite figured out what to do with it yet. You wake up and you look around, and everyone else is still asleep around you. What do you want to do? Everyone else is still asleep.
The first thing I want to do is I want to walk up to the to where we were last night. I just want to kind of look around and kind of just assess the situation.
Sorry, Topher sleep farts.
Jesus.
Lore-driven character building. I approve.
All right. So go ahead and give me a. So you're wanting to assess? Well, I'll just make it at a perception check. Go ahead and give me that.
I'll do that. And I got 1, so 9.
Okay. So you look around. There's nothing immensely. Nothing really stands out to you. You look around. You have everyone sleeping in their tents. You guys had kind of shoved back the amount of the skeletons and the bodies that had been in here before. You guys had respectfully laid the nobleman on top of the pile of skeletons to make room for for you guys to be in there. There's nothing really stands out about what you can see.
And 8 really does it justice, because as I'm walking up there, I'm not really trying to look for something to find. I'm just kind of, the typical morning look around to kind of be aware of your surroundings. So nonchalantly just looking around, and behind me I hear Topher fart.
Gotcha.
I love that we respectfully placed his dead body on top of a pile of skeletons.
Well, I mean, there's no, you guys didn't want to go out because so what essentially happened, if you recall, he was looking outside where this wall had been caved in and the door had been ripped off the hinges and everything. He was essentially looking outside to make sure he was safe to speak to you. And then there were just spears that came from nowhere.
He was not.
So that being said, you guys didn't want to leave the area because you guys knew that there was someone or something out there. So you guys didn't have, you didn't want to go out to bury him. You respectfully placed his body on top of the pile of skeletons that you guys had pushed away. Because in the end, I think you guys had made the realization that he wasn't as evil as you guys thought he was. He was feeling some pretty heavy remorse for the stuff that he had done.
Yeah, so Hamilton didn't make that realization.
I'm still really embarrassed about the fact that I couldn't even summon the heroism out of him to say something that was one bit useful.
I don't know. I think if that's how you perceive the situation, that's cool. Sorry about your luck, man. Sorry about your luck, friend.
Yeah, my luck's shitty.
You have shit luck.
You're terrible.
You're shit for brains right here.
So as you're looking around and you're kind of just reassessing the situation and the room around you, everyone else starts to wake up. And you guys are kind of looking around, and you guys are in this room. You guys are all awake. What do you guys want to do?
I don't know. I want to look out the window that he got speared from.
It wasn't a window. It was
the opening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you look out, the sun is cresting over in the sky. It is almost actually high noon, because you guys came up and the sun had started to come up when you guys came into this room, and you guys got a few hours of sleep, and the sun is just about as high as its highest point, and then it is starting to fall again. So it's midday, and you guys all got just a little bit of rest because you guys have been going for a full 24 to 48 hours at this point.
Slip.
So you look out and you see there's just a plain of grass, and it kind of goes down into a set of trees, and you can hear the flow of a river in the background, and which you can only assume is the Neverwinter River, which flows into the city.
Right.
And you don't really know where you are in relation to the city, but you can hear the river and see just trees and a plain of grass.
Do we want to follow the river and go back to the city?
We could. I mean, we probably should.
So let's kind of reassess what just happened. What state of mind would we be in, and what would we be trying to do after going through that little secret passage in the Fort Ski? What would literally be our next plan of action right now?
Well, personally, what I would like to find out is what the fuck killed that guy.
Like,
Also, where are
So-
we, and why was there a secret passage
Yeah.
from the keep to where we are?
So I like your point too. Maybe there's some traces around this area of what might have wasn't he shot with an arrow or something?
it was a spear.
Ooh, yeah, it was
So he was a spear was thrown at him.
No.
No,
Was
he
it
got
thrown
straight
at
up.
him? No.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know.
know that. Yeah.
Okay.
Triple
So
H came in
from-
from the top rope and speared him.
It's Goldberg, okay?
I want to check out the spears, actually.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a investigation check.
It's a 9.
So the 2 spears are laying next to his body, next to the nobleman's body on top of the pile of skeletons. And you walk up to them and you kind of look over and investigate them, and you notice that they are they're wooden spears with metal and on the tips. There's nothing special that you can see about them engraved in them, anything. They just appear to be, they're brass tipped spears. And
They should have used iron.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, now, given that you rolled 9, they may be iron spears, but you just
just
think
have
they're
no
brass
idea.
tip spears.
Can I see, like, just generally, are they large spears?
I mean, yeah, they're about 7 feet long. They're
Okay.
large spears.
So it probably took someone fairly skilled at spear throwing to land that shot.
You would assume so.
Yeah. Okay.
So the spear was thrown.
I had specifically stated that they
Yes.
were thrown. Yes,
Oh.
just a little bit ago.
Yes.
Okay.
Not in the previous session, but yes, they were thrown.
So can I see from the opening in the wall, can I see any identifiable landmarks that would suggest to me where I am in relation to the city? Or even just the grounds surrounding where we are, if there's anything identifiable like flags, markings on the walls.
Didn't you? Was it you that just made the perception, or you made the perception check earlier?
Yeah,
You go ahead and
I
give
rolled
me
an
a-
investigation
Go
check.
ahead and give me a perception check. So you turn and look outside, and your perception lends way to
It's a 16.
Okay, so as you look outside, you see the plains of grass, and you see the trees, and you see the sun and the sky. You can hear the river, and you can discern that it is directly in front of you.
Okay.
So if you can see the river from the bay in Neverwinter flows into the ocean. So you can assume that as you can hear the river in front of you, that Neverwinter would be to the west.
Okay. So I would like to make a crotch chopping gesture out into the open world. Wait for a second, kind of look around, see if anything happens, and then I want to turn around and say to the rest of my companions,
Can you give me a performance check on that crotch chopping gesture?
absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
These grades aren't curved.
It's going to be an 11.
All right. So your hands cross over. You make like a kind of a crooked X because you didn't really hit it that great. And you kind of like slam down on your crotch and you like kind of hit yourself in the leg, not in the dick. So it almost is just like, if there's anyone watching, they're just like completely embarrassed about the fact that you just can't do this right. So, and they like, if there's anyone watching, you mentally are very sure that they're calling you a pleb. So
Good. So I want to turn around and face the rest of my companions and say, well, I haven't been speared yet, so I think we're good.
trial by fire, I guess.
So I'm going to walk out behind where the nobleman was speared, and I'm just going to kind of walk along the area in which I believe his attacker would have came from, and kind of look to the ground and see if I see any signs. Are you going to use my previous perception check?
No, if you're looking for something new, it's a different
I'm
roll.
specifically looking for any sort of signs that might indicate where the attacker
Right,
came
but this
from.
would actually be an investigation check since
Okay.
you're searching for something.
Okay. It's a 7, and I have -1, so 6.
Oh, damn.
All right, so you
gadget.
walk out of the opening near Hamilton, and you're looking around on the ground to where the nobleman was standing, and you don't see any signs of the dirt being rustled or anything like that. You see as the dirt kind of fades into the grass, lending way to the fact that there is no like direct path to where you guys are right now. It seems to be like this is kind of like a lookout tower potentially to the east of the city of Neverwinter. So you don't see anything immediately in your view that lends way to the fact that there was anything standing or making any kind of indication that it had been here.
So I'm still like chilling in my sack.
Yeah, I said everyone woke up, but I guess you haven't got up yet.
No, I'm still afraid that some of those sleep toots might have been
Yeah. Okay. So
Are you still laying there?
I'm gently rubbing his shoulder. Like, all right.
Oh, that's a shoulder.
That's what the kids are calling it nowadays. But no, I'm like trying to get him up. Like I'm trying to be like, yo,
like get me up or get me up.
It could be. It could turn in whatever you want it to be, man. Whatever you want it to be. This is your choice.
I get
the
up and I
ball's
start
in your park or in my mouth, whichever. No, but seriously. No, I'm trying to tell him like, yo, let's go.
Okay. I mean, I'm getting up at this point, and I'm kind of rolling up my sack, and then I'm gonna roll up my sleeping bag too.
Ryan, have you seen his balls?
Unfortunately, I have.
Insane, dude. All right. So before we start,
Hang on, he wants to talk about your balls, Daniel.
No, listen. Okay, so you've heard of Cockfest, I assume.
Yep.
All right, so we were at the cabin one year, and this motherfucker, we're all sitting like naked in a fucking hot tub, okay? And I just see, listen, we're sitting the same way in a hot tub, and I see his balls float above the water. Like a goddamn floaty, dude. Like,
This episode has been brought to you by ExtendYourTesticles.com.
extendo testes. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm rolling up my bag and everything, and I'm getting everything ready to head
I
out.
also want to know what the fuck is going on with Topher.
Just-
because that motherfucker was like,
You're not- okay, listen.
incapacitated.
We don't know.
He has.
Well, nobody fucking asked me anything, so
I would like to ask you something right now.
I'm waiting for the question.
Go ahead and ask it.
Why the fuck were you disheveled, you son of a bitch?
Probably because he just shit his sleeping bag.
Are you talking about whenever I woke up or from last night?
Last night, you dick.
Well, if you're going to be rude like that, I'm not going to answer your question.
I'm sorry.
I don't believe that you're sorry.
I'm sorry. Yes, I am. I'm very sorry. I just want to know what's
He's
wrong.
not sorry.
Shut the fuck up, him.
Typical brother.
I don't.
He believes me.
So Benedict walks into Christopher still sitting in his bag. He's lying there awake, and
He walks into Christopher.
And I draw attention because I
He
see
enters
that,
Christopher.
that there might be a confrontation, so I look over.
so you walk up to Christopher, and what do you want to say?
Christopher, I noticed that you were
Say it.
disheveled. What's your problem? Like, what is going on with you? We were in the heat of battle, almost. And you were sitting there.
Disheveled.
I'd glance up at him, even though that, I'm sure that me sitting down is probably just a little bit shorter than he is standing up. And I put my head back down and just say, I don't.
Nothing.
I don't really know. I don't really understand. But something, it was like a war inside of myself. I felt like I was being pulled towards the darkness that was in the room. I don't know why I was being pulled into the darkness, but everything I had was to fight the darkness. And I It's something I haven't felt before.
Interesting.
Does that answer your question, dwarf?
No. But God damn it.
So as you guys are having this conversation, Bartholonude has been, as he mentioned, he has become innately attuned to what's going on. As he also noticed Christopher's turmoil and his internal struggle with whatever it is that is causing him to be kind of withdrawn from the situation. And as he is standing kind of in the door, in the opening of this building that he's in, there is a noise, a yell that comes from out between the trees. And it says, "Bartholonude, is that you?" And as he turns, he sees someone emerging from the trees into the bush, and he immediately recognizes this individual. This individual is Weisswein. And he comes out of the bushes and approaches Bartholonude, and it is almost like he sees an old friend that he has not seen in years, and they immediately run up to each other, and there's an embrace, and he says, "Bartholonude, what are you doing here?"
There was events that conspired last night. Did you see the demon?
I have not yet arrived in Neverwinter. I was on my way there to find help. What took place in the night?
To find help. What do you need help for?
The mountains. Have you not seen the river?
Please tell us of the mountains.
The river, the great river of Neverwinter. It's hot. It's heating. There's something going on in the mountain from which the water flows. Neverwinter River is unusable. The waters are sick. There's something is going on, and I have come to Neverwinter and on a task to help find. And I was on my way to Neverwinter to find someone to help me in my quest to figure out exactly what is going on. And it has been tumultuous. The waters not only fuel Neverwinter in its life, but also many of the regions surrounding and the northern lands, the southern lands, everything. The waters of Neverwinter are used in many things across Faerun.
So I snap to attention. I remember hearing water recently. So to verify what he said, I take off running straight for the water.
Down towards the stream?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I run up to the water, and I take my hand and I grasp the water. What do I feel?
So as your hands
Water,
plunge into
probably.
the water,
Dipshit.
it immediately starts to. It's not so hot that it burns you, but it is very, very hot for water that just sat through the night. And normally the water that comes from the mountain,
Cold.
it's warm, but it's because it is the water that never freezes. But it is much hotter than it normally would be.
Spicy. Fire.
So then I draw back to attention and reapproach Weisswein. I shake his hand and give him an embrace. And I say, "Thank you for letting me aware. We will join this together. Let us return
Okay.
to Neverwinter." And then I look to my crew to see what they're doing.
So Weisswein and Bartholonude walk back up to the keep after being down at the river, or I shouldn't say the keep. They walked back up to the building in which everyone had taken refuge the night before, and you all are standing there, and all of you, obviously, you guys do not know Weisswein. They approach, and what do you guys do?
I introduce
You introduce Weisswein?
Topher, Benedict, Hamilton. This is Weisswein,
So
the one person from childhood that I trust.
So you guys immediately are attuned to the fact of Weisswein. As the night before, you guys had just heard him tell the story of who he was and his what he had been through before in his early years, and you recognize this name, Weisswein.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy that he shows up now, right after we heard his name. And then,
Yeah, I'm a little suspicious of that.
honestly, yeah. I mean, because
It is a little weird.
in real, like, you know,
It is kind of weird, you know.
Yeah.
Someone just got killed the night before, and here's someone from my childhood.
I want to.
yeah, it definitely probably isn't me trying to craft an awesome story. I'm just throwing that in there.
well, we know you can't do that. So.
Yoink.
No, I still want to imply a skepticism, but at the same time, I trust Bartholonude. And
You guys should probably try implying skepticism in your actions instead of just saying that out loud.
I bet you can throw a spear pretty far.
boy, you got a 5 head and a 4 head. I'll shake that hand.
That's pretty good.
So do you is that what you say to him?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
So Weisswein, standing at similar height to Bartholonude and similar size,
Yeah, I'm not intimidated.
looks at you and says, "Probably further than you, little man.
Well, I would hope you could throw a spear further than you could throw me.
Shall we put this to the test?"
Okay.
Please.
All right. So Weisswein walks up. Weisswein walks up to you, and
I interject. I come up and put my hand in front of between the two, and I say, Weisswein, these are friends. Do not let your frivolous quarrel interfere with our
I mean, I
ultimate
probably
goal.
need a bath. He could just throw me in the river.
Pretty
And
hot
it is
river.
pretty hot, so I'll get really clean.
hot tub.
so Weisswein with your hand, he continues, but he's kind of pressed up against your hand as it hits his chest, and he kind of glares at Hamilton, and he turns back around to you and says, "I have no time for such a quarrel. The rivers of Neverwinter have heated almost overnight. They have risen in great temperature. They are unusable. There are lives at stake, lives from the Golden Clan. I know your quarrels with the Golden Clan and the things that you struggled with in your childhood. But now is no time for that. There are things beyond the Golden Clan, people who will suffer from this. Make haste, we need, not to Neverwinter. If you will aid me, we can go straight to the Hotanau Mountains and find the source of this trouble."
What is the name of the mountains?
Hot and all.
Hotanau Mountain.
It's hot now.
It's definitely hotter now.
Hot now.
When you have an issue with the way I write the stories, you can just not play.
Well, I think I see
can
the
find
problem right here. We should just name them colder now.
I think you probably think that I'm better now.
Problem solved.
So,
I was actually about to suggest that we do go to the source of the heat, and the heat wouldn't start downstream; it would start upstream.
Bet.
So, let us go to the source.
I agree. I'm fine with that. I want to go to the source. I trust Bartholonude.
It's about to get hot in here.
Take off our clothes.
So Hamilton says it's about to get hot in here, and you guys are ready to roll to the mountain. Are you all ready to go follow Weisswein? Because I know we haven't heard from Christopher in quite some time.
We're not following Weisswein.
Christopher's still in bed,
As
right?
far as I'm concerned,
did you get
he
out
came to us for help. And
Well, he was on his way to Neverwinter and came across you guys, and you guys agreed to help him.
but we're going upstream, which is where he would have just came from.
Well, he would have been on that path. That's where he was on his way to Neverwinter.
To
You don't
find
know
help.
where he came from
Yeah.
to do that.
He was going to Neverwinter to find help, right?
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
just go to the mountain. Then you would assume that he wouldn't have just went to the mountain and then came to Neverwinter to find help.
See, I don't remember agreeing to help him. It's more like I just embraced his problem as my own, because what we've been through, it's
That
like...
literally means you agreed to help him.
It's your
Not
problem too.
necessarily. You know,
I disagree.
No, well, I see where he's coming from. They go back a long way. So whatever problem is
not-
his
it's-
problem. Not so much helping him. Even if Weisswein was to go back to Neverwinter,
and that-
we would still go to wherever to try to take care
And
of
it's
the
not just
problem.
that too, but it's also the fact that what we just went through, we know that there's some shit going down.
Yeah.
So if there is something on a grander level here that's causing some larger problem, that's why I immediately went down to the river and tried to check the water to verify what he said, because I want to actually see it for myself and feel it for myself.
yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, I'm actually going to go down to the river and refill my water canteen because I don't know anything about what's going on.
Well, he is headed down towards the river. He turned and walked away from you guys,
getting
and
back
he's
to
going
his
back towards the river. Whether you guys are following him or not, that's where he's headed.
I want to check the river. Obviously, the water is magical. It's been imbued with magic. I want to try to see if I can sense perhaps anything else associated with the water, magic related, that seems off.
Okay. So you followed Weisswein down to the river. and Christopher down to the river.
Yeah, I'm probably going to actually run out in front of Weisswein and walk in front of him.
All right, so you run up and just kind of like shove him out of the way.
I'll just go right between his legs, honestly.
All right. Jesus, you're just like egging this guy on.
Yeah, I don't like this guy.
All right, for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so
I feel like he's going
Weisswein-
to take away Bartholonude. He's going to take away one of my friends. Not like it.
All right. So you run in between Weisswein's leg as he steps. His right foot goes forward, and you kind of do like this like curve pattern. Your arms go out, and you kind of like swerve right in between his legs, and you run in between him, and he's kind of like off put by it, and you like hurry your way down towards the river. And as you get down to the river, go ahead and make me an Arcana check.
That will be a 15.
Okay. So as you reach down towards the river and you kind of slip your hand in, it is very warm, very hot, and you kind of like put your hand in and for just a half a second, and you pull it back out because it's almost too hot for your hand to be in. And as you are like inspecting the water residue left on your hand, you're kind of looking at it, and you can definitely tell that it is magical, but it's almost as if too much. It's too magical. What's going on with it is whatever magic it was being used to imbue this water with life is overly so. So everyone go ahead and make a perception check since you guys are all down by the river.
Down by the river on a Friday night.
It's going to be 12.
Did you want me to do that as well?
It's going to be a
Everybody.
12.
Oh, okay.
So Benedict rolled a 12.
I'm going to have a 17.
Hamilton has a 17.
I rolled my dice, and it hit Daniel's dice.
Still
And then
counts.
Daniel's dice is now a nat 20.
Fuck yeah. Still
Does
counts.
that count?
Does it count? DM.
Yeah, I mean, you
mean,
didn't touch it.
I rolled a
Nothing.
3.
I mean, I do know what it was before that.
No, it's fine. Nat
Okay.
20
Nope.
is fine. This is just a perception check.
Everybody dab. Dab for the camera.
We got her nat 20!
All right. Well,
Nobody can hear a dab. You can sense it.
so all of you guys are down by the water, and Hamilton has just dipped his hand into the water, and he immediately realizes that the water is it has too much of whatever was in it that's causing.
Now, I have yet to communicate that to anyone, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
saying you realize
Yes,
that.
yeah.
And then everyone else gets down to the river as well, and they all start to look around. So as this happens, Hamilton, your hand comes up out of the water, and you can immediately sense this. And yourself and Christopher both look around and realize that the life and the water surrounding the river it is extravagantly higher. Trees have grown much higher than they normally would. The plant life and the flowers and everything have extravagantly bloomed beyond what they normally would. The bees and the flies and things that are surrounding the river are much larger than they normally would be. And you guys are noticing these things as your senses open up as you get down towards the river and you're looking around.
I reach down to the river, and I take a big gulp of the river.
Oh God.
Oh.
He wants to be larger.
Oh, no.
Now, okay, quick question, Michael. Being a druid, do I notice this as well? Since I'm very...
Not with a 12, you didn't.
Well, cocksucker.
I'm sorry. So I'm going to reiterate something that happened.
Goddamn druid, okay?
And the very first
Be nature.
in the second episode, there was a point where Ryan specifically stated that I was really good at fucking him with rolls. And I immediately retorted with, "No, you're good at fucking you with rolls."
Yeah, okay.
So
Fine, I'm druid on that shit about it.
Cocksucker.
So Bartholonude, you go down to the water, being a dragon, but not of the fire nature. Get into the water, and it is extremely hot. And you reach in, and your hands cup together, and you bring them up, and you take a giant swig of this water, and it burns your throat, and not to the point that you feel as if your life was drained from it, but at this moment you were just like imbued with life. and you immediately are invigorated, and everything your senses heighten, and everything about you is like you feel as if your muscles are like intense, like you just shotgunned 5-hour energy drinks all at one time. You're
got a
just
sick pump.
extremely like it's all your muscles are extremely tight in your body. Exactly.
Yeah,
like you are just overly so. Your eyes like turn red. Your breath gets extremely hot. Your blood is boiling. You don't exactly know what effect this is having on you, but you're changing, and you're not sure exactly what's happening.
There's crack in the water.
I grab my halberd and I fucking slap it at a tree. I just feel like I'm on fire.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
down with that. Yeah,
All right, so go ahead and make a strength check.
my guy.
I'm gonna be the strongest motherfucker
Make
this side of
you
Faerun,
have
baby.
you have advantage on this throw, so do it twice and give me a high. You have advantage. Don't worry.
He crit failed that first one. I'll be the strongest. Fucking bullshit!
He crit fail again. Okay.
Oh my god.
It's your strength roll +5.
9.
Okay, so you pull out your halberd and just feeling empowered, you step out of the water and immediately pull it from behind your back and swing at this tree right next to you. And as it swings down, a couple of the smaller branches near the bottom of the tree slice through the blade slices through them, and you curve it slightly to go into the tree to try to feel all your muscles are tense and you're so much adrenaline, and you hit the tree and it just sticks into the side of the tree and your hand kind of slips off and there's a crack shows up in your arm. Like your scales are starting to like break because your muscles are just growing.
Shit, dude,
And-
you're jacked as fuck.
Yep.
Damn, I'm jealous.
But it's kind of strange because that tree definitely did not break.
Oh man.
You overextended yourself. I guess I should say. You thought you could just chop down this tree in a swing, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah,
So,
kind of like whenever
down
you're,
with
banging a chick, you think you can do this like really cool, fucking sexual move, but then you
get
realize you're
sad.
32 and you don't have a girlfriend.
Poor dude.
Oh, that was low. Jesus.
so as your blade hits the tree, Vicewine turns around, and he speaks up. Bartholonude, did you drink of the waters?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
So Vicewine kind of comes over to comes over to you, and he's like looking at you and inspecting you, and he's noticing the changes that are going on. He sees your eyes are like bloodshot red, and he hears you breathing heavily. He sees the crack so that are starting to show up in your scales. But as he's looking at them, you're also looking, and you're seeing your skin is starting to scale over already in the cracks that are showing up. But like you have like you're healing rapidly, and any damage that you had taken, you immediately feel the life flowing
That's
back into you, and
steroids.
you are healed.
It's literally steroids.
So Vicewine kind of looks at you, and he's like, I recommend not drinking any more of the waters. I am surprised you are still alive. And he turns around and says, we must make haste. The waters grow hotter as we speak. And he starts to walk the river line. And as he does, he goes forward, and you guys look off into the distance, and you can see Mount Hottenau in the distance above the tree line in the Neverwinter Woods.
All right.
So what do you guys want to do?
Expedition, Tom?
Yeah. I'm for sure down with that. I'm for sure down with that.
Well, I suppose we should follow him.
Christopher,
Yes.
would you like to follow?
Yes.
I bet.
To
get it.
I was going down to the river to fill my canteen with water. I didn't know.
So as you guys are walking through, you guys are walking the riverbank, and Vicewine in the lead, followed by Bartholonude, and then Hamilton with an angry look on his face the entire way, staring Vicewine in the back of the head, and Benedict and Christopher lolling behind, walking the river's bank. Not really lots being said. Everyone seems pretty pensive as you guys are on the way through. Occasionally, Weisswein and Bartholonude pick up conversation between the two of them, referencing things of their olden days and just kind of catching up on the way. As it is a decent walk. And a couple hours pass, and as you guys make your way towards the Neverwinter Wood, and as you guys approach the tree line, it's almost like just a straight wall of trees. And for any of you nerds out there, kind of like if you've seen Lord of the Rings, the Fangorn Forest, you kind of get to it, and it's just like this dark, mangled tree line. Everything is just kind of stuck together, and it's almost like there's an air kind of like emanating from the trees.
Like a thickness, like a smog almost, but, you know.
Yeah, like the trees are thicker and it's darker because they're growing from the waters that are coming from the river, and they're much larger than what they normally would be as the river waters are imbuing them with even more life than normally would be there, and it's causing them to be bigger and thicker and darker. God damn it.
I was trying my best there.
I'm sorry.
I want to let it be known.
That was
that
like
somebody
really
else
that was
did it.
really good imagery, and like everything was like so good.
Yeah, imagery of a big fucking girth.
Bigger,
I'm
thicker,
sorry.
darker.
Did I initiate that? Because I was like,
No.
yeah, like
He did it himself.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
it
looked-
definitely was Josh. Like
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I made it was my fault and your fault because I made the mistake of looking around while I was saying that because I knew what I was thinking. When I was saying it, it was definitely my fault and then yours too. So fuck
Yeah,
you.
but I made it known. I made it known. But it's going to be edited, so delete it from history.
So I'm gonna rephrase that. The flora in the area has grown much larger, and it's caused more shadowing, and it's darker than it normally would be. So as you guys approach the Neverwinter Wood, Weisswein kind of puts his hand back, and he goes, kind of stops and looks into the forest and kind of like peers around, and noticing that the plant life has grown much larger because you guys assumed he had just come from here. He just kind of looks at it, and he turns around and goes and speaks and says, "Following the river is the way to the Mount Hotanau Mountains. It will be about a day's journey. And the plant life and the animal life, we know not of the evolutions that have taken place from the waters of the river. There could be life of which we have not seen before. We have seen the effects that the water has had on Bartholonude, and that was but a small sip. Shall we proceed, or shall we try to find a shortcut to the mountain? Either way, we will have to enter the forest. Should we enter here or try to cut our way north and follow the tree line, and because we can see the mountain there?"
Cutting the wood does not work so well. Bartholonude. Yes.
Oh? Huh? Honestly, I forget what I was going to ask.
Me neither.
What? I'm so lost.
Daniel had something he was going to say.
Yes, for the
Christopher
love
or
of God,
Daniel?
like, Christopher fucking talk. Like, seriously. Like, fuck, man. I just want to know what's happening.
if you guys would like shut up for 40 seconds, I could probably say something.
That's a long time.
That's a long
I have not talked for a while. For a while.
So I've spent a lot of time around Neverwinter. Do I know anything about the woods that we just approached?
Go ahead and make a history check for me.
Historical wisdom. Double check.
7.
So you can recall, you've never been to the woods before that you can remember.
City boy.
Just a city boy.
Live in a lonely world, dude.
You've never been to the woods before that you can remember. But you do know that you've heard people speak of you've never heard anyone speak poorly of the woods. It just seems to be a forest. You don't remember anything particularly detailed about the life there or what happens there. You do know that the Mount Hottenau mountains reside in them, as that's a pretty common piece of Neverwinter lore. But that's about all you can.
I want to approach the woods like right up to the edge.
Okay.
Like right to where we're
One
like
step
going
closer
in.
to the edge.
Yeah,
All my friends are dead.
I'm about to break.
Push me to the edge.
I'm gonna walk walk up to the woods and peer into the woods and turn around to the rest of the party and say,
I think it's safe that we should.
Safe to say.
yeah,
I think it's safe to say that we should just go ahead and head through the woods now instead of trying to find a way around.
Bartholonude, what do you think? True. Is that a normal true? Or is that a big, huge true?
It's a mousy true.
Mousy true, okay.
No, I do agree with Topher.
All right, bet.
okay. I'm gonna go ahead.
So Vicewine, while you guys are having this conversation, Vicewine pulls out a map of Faerun.
Well, that's convenient, Vicewine.
So he pulls out the map. Well, you got to consider in the events, he's asked how you guys would like to get there. You guys decide that you'd like to traverse.
We've had him at this whole time, Vicewine.
I mean, we really
You had no
not-
need to pull it out until this point.
That's what she said.
Got him.
So while this conversation is going on, where you guys are trying to decide whether you'd like to head north towards the mountain or you'd like to follow the river to the mountain, Vicewine pulls out a map. And the map shows the northwestern portion of Neverwinter up close, and where the Neverwinter Wood. And the Neverwinter Wood on this map covers the majority of Neverwinter. Now, these maps are all hand drawn, so it is a really rough sketch, and you can see the river flows from Neverwinter and comes up into the Neverwinter Wood, and it flows directly into the center of Neverwinter Wood, and it curves up back around. As you guys are observing the map, it curves up back around in like a giant backward C-shaped pattern. So it appears that if you were to follow the river, you would be in Neverwinter Wood for probably days, circling around following the river. However, it appears if you follow the tree line, if you traversed possibly northwest along the tree line for maybe just a few hours, you could probably just cut north through the woods from there, and it looks like it would probably be less than a day's travel as opposed to having a multiple days travel along the river. So as you guys are all looking at the map, what do you guys do?
I mean, I had proposed to just cut right through the woods from where we're at.
From where you're at, just cut through the woods straight to where you guys perceive the mountain to be.
Yes.
I'm still of the mindset that we know it's upstream, and we've been told that it's at the mountain. But I would still be on the premise that if we're going to inspect where the heating starts in this river, we should follow the river.
Yes.
So based on the fact that you don't know necessarily that it is for sure coming from the mountain.
That plus,
That's a fair point.
if you're going to go to the source, you might as well follow the one trail that leads you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might take a little bit longer, but...
So
That's fair.
Vicewine is pointing out the map to you guys on how it's laid out. How would you like to just narratively explain that to Vicewine?
If we are to get to the point where we find the source of this heating of the river, we must follow the one path it can take.
True.
I mean, well, he was talking to Vicewine, so I was
Right. Well, you guys are all standing there looking around the map.
yeah.
You guys are all involved in this conversation.
Okay.
Everyone's kind of standing in a circle looking at the map that he has, and then Bartholonude lays out the point, and you guys all are okay with that?
As much as I agree with you, Bartholonude, I have very short legs. So the shortest path would be my choice.
Why don't you get on the shoulder of me?
All right, so you guys want to go ahead and just follow the river in?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, so as Bartholonude and Weisswein broach the tree line and they take their first steps over the giant roots that are just surrounding the edge of the forest, just coming in and out of the dirt, making it a very difficult task to traverse this area. You guys all cross into this, and the first thing you guys notice is the air is just really thick. It's hard to breathe. It's almost suffocating to a point. It's just very dark. The few of you who have dark vision can see ahead of you, but only in the grays and the whites and the blacks. No colors or anything. You guys see that the fauna, or sorry, the flora around the river has grown much taller, and as it kind of goes away from the river, they get smaller and smaller. But the tree life and the plant life, everything is just sprouted so high, so it's even difficult to traverse around the river. But that's your only sense of the direction you guys are moving. So it's as you're moving, it has become increasingly difficult as you get into the forest to actually follow the river. So what do you guys want to do? How you guys are just kind of moving forward, and you notice that it's very dark, it's very sinister. You're having trouble seeing.
How deep is the river?
I mean, no one has been into the river to find out, but you guys are also actively avoiding the river because you saw what happened after Bartholomew drank from the river. So
Yeah, you got all fucking roided out.
I want to build a raft.
So it's dark.
it's very dark.
So the only people that can see are people with dark vision. So, Benedict.
Like you can see just a few feet in front of you. That's about it.
I'm going to walk past Benedict, and I'm going to poke him and cast light on Benedict.
So Benedict is now
Able to see.
You're enlightened.
Yeah.
and that casts light in, was it 40 feet or 60 feet?
20 feet bright, an extra 20 feet dim. So
40,
we can see up to 40 feet.
See up to 40 feet in every direction. Okay.
So which means people with dark vision can see just fine, right?
Well, people with dark vision can see, yeah, but they can see further than that. But
yeah.
So people with dark vision can see and vividly up to 40 feet, and beyond that is just in grays. So now everyone can see up to 40 feet dimly.
The only sure path is that we should follow the river. I would like to get into this river, but it seems to be messing with you.
We should build a raft.
What do we have to build a
I agree
raft?
with my brother. We're in the woods. We have plenty of wood. That's pretty much all we need is wood. Just lots of wood to do wood things. Can make all kinds of things with trees. Paper.
Call me Woody Harrelson.
This man is... I fucking hate you. I wish we weren't related. JK, I love you. But either way.
JK. Either way.
We should build a raft. We should go.
Well, how are we? Okay, so how are we going to go upstream with a raft?
With paddles. Or poles.
paddles.
If the water is shallow enough, you use poles. And you push yourself
push
up
your
river
goods
with
against
the
the-
poles.
why build a raft when we would just follow the river?
We can't see.
We can see.
Because the
He
foliage
just
is
cast
so
light
thick.
on you.
It's consistently
It's-
getting darker.
It's consistently getting darker, but I cast light on you so we can see. It may be getting thicker, but building a raft would take up a lot of time to be able to carry all of us.
You're right. You're right.
You're goddamn right, I'm right. Piece of shit.
You mish
the
call,
thick-
right? I'm right.
You mish call right up.
Well, if you lead, then we'll follow, my guy.
Okay, I'll fucking lead him up the goddamn river.
Bet.
Topher, wait!
I start walking up the river. I'm not gonna sit around and make a raft. I'm gonna go up the goddamn river.
All right.
Seems
Just keep
pointless to
walking.
take fucking time to build a raft.
So Weisswein follows your lead. He is very much he is confident that where you guys are headed is at the base of the mountain. He doesn't feel like there is any need to traverse the river, but as you guys are willing to help him, he is following your guys' lead in the path you are taking to get to the mountain. And he does agree with Bartholonude that it would make sense to if there is any chance that it is not coming from the mountain, that you should follow the river to find out if there is any reason to suspect that it is not there. So he actually follows your lead, Christopher, as you kind of charge forward.
Okay. As I charge forward, I'm going to go ahead and discontinue light on Benedict and cast light on my shield, so we can have a light at the front of the group.
Okay. Now, are you going to be carrying your shield? Because if you throw it on your back, it'll... Okay.
Yeah, I'm carrying my shield in front of me, obviously, because I'm using it to kind of push through the foliage.
Okay.
And I have my my mace out as well, like, obviously.
Okay, so you're ready
I've got a weapon,
in case something goes
Yeah, I've got
down.
my shield and my weapon. So.
Okay. So as that was really bad. Is everyone following Christopher? Everyone's just traversing?
Yeah, but I'm pretty grumpy about it.
Okay.
fine.
Well, I can especially understand why Hamilton would be grumpy, because this is especially difficult terrain for you to traverse. Like,
Yeah, that's
you're
why I
very
want a
short.
rat.
You're
I
having
mean,
to like jump over stuff.
I
and
thought you were on
constantly
my shoulder.
Bartholonude straight said that he could ride on
He
his
said he
shoulder.
could, but he never stated that he was going to climb up.
We never established that.
Well, that's your own fucking fault, so don't be pissy.
So I look over.
I am pissy.
I look over and see that Hamilton's struggling. So I just pick him up like a child, put him right on my shoulder.
So Weisswein actually sees that this is happening, and in an attempt to amend the damaged relationship that he knows that you two had, because you guys have had just like a rocky start for some reason or another, he looks over, and Weisswein is probably just a few inches taller than you, not crazy as much, not like ridiculously amount, but as you're like reaching down to grab him to pick him up, Weisswein offers to carry Benedict and says, I will
Hamilton.
No. He offers to take Benedict
Oh, okay.
if
I see
you
what
wanted to take Hamilton as like an attempt to speed things up. Because Benedict, he's tall for a dwarf. He's about 5 foot, which is pretty substantial for a dwarf. But you guys are of tremendous size and might, so you guys would be able to take that on. So he offers to take on Benedict if you wanted to take Hamilton. You agree to that, right?
Yeah.
You jump onto Bartholonude's back, and he is up there. Now, Weisswein turns and offers to do the same for you, and you decline, being an independent individual.
Yes.
So Weisswein turns around, and he's not offended by this. He understands, and he continues forward. And what do? You just keep on going?
I just keep on going, yeah.
Okay.
Once I have Hamilton up on my shoulder, I look up at him and I say, "Please, hand me my flute."
So Bartholonude begins to play a tune as the hours.
Molly Percocet.
Bartholonude starts to play a tune as the hours pass, as you guys are traversing this bank. It's a tremendous task for you guys to do this. There are roots sticking out of the ground. There are trees and branches that you guys are having to constantly weave your way in and out of, and trying to keep the light that from Christopher's shield at the forefront. It's a constant task as Christopher's having to shift where the light is being focused, trying to traverse this terrain as well. So
So at some point during this walk, I would like
give
to
up that flute.
speak up and call out to Weisswein
Okay.
and say, Weisswein, as much as I hate to be a burden, I feel that the load of mine should be shared. So
I'm sorry.
He's in the process
Just
of dying.
how you stated that was just too fucking disgusting.
share the load.
Share the load.
I'm in the process of dying.
Continue, sorry.
Okay. Weisswein, as much as I hate to be a burden on the party, I feel that it should be shared amongst each of us. So if you wouldn't mind carrying me for a while so that Bartholonude could rest, I would greatly appreciate it.
Weisswein turns around and kind of looks up at you, and he kind of looks at you because you've been like a sarcastic ass to him this entire time, and it looks at you and kind of tries to assess the situation to see if you are being sarcastic or in any way. And I'm going to ask you, and I want you to be 100% serious with me. do you have any malicious intent in what you're asking him?
Yes, yeah, 100%.
Okay, okay, no, and that's fine because I'm gonna have Vice Swine.
Okay, so let me extrapolate on that a little bit.
Okay.
I don't mean to hurt him. I just want to get closer to him so that I can get a better sense of whether or not I can trust him, and I want to be close enough to him that I can look all over his armor and clothing and items that he's carrying with him, the way that he interacts with everything around him, and try to determine if there's anything at all in his behaviors that I need to be worried about.
Okay. So, and the reason I ask is because you've been very distant from him, and it is offsetting to him that you would think that you would want to do this.
Yeah.
So he is going to contest. He's going to make an intelligence contest with you.
Okay.
To try to contest to see if you are being sincere in your actions, because what you're trying to do, he is suspect of it.
Okay.
So we're gonna let me pull up his stats real quick.
Is this intelligence contest based on magic or just intuition?
No, I'm gonna make a roll.
Yeah.
And
Way to
you're
let me
gonna make a
down.
roll, and you're gonna add your intelligence modifier to it.
I know that it's an intelligence contest. I'm saying, is he going to use magic to try and decipher
No.
whether or not
No, he
I'm
would
being
just,
sincere?
He would just use the same kind of roll that you would, just as intelligence.
I'm only asking because I have advantage on intellect against magic.
It wouldn't be.
No,
magic. It would just be
he's
typical,
literally
just
just
your
looking-
basic intellect.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just looking at you and giving you the squint
Intelligence,
and just
not intellect.
It's a
Intelligence.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Vicewine he's not a paladin. He's kind of just a warrior. But being of the same caliber that Bartholonude is, doesn't have the greatest intelligence. So let's go ahead and do an intelligence challenge here. I'm going to make a D20 roll. You make a D20 roll. Add your intelligence modifier.
Okay.
And then we'll see who's better.
It's going to be a 21.
Okay, I got an 11. So Vicewine looks at you and just kind of gives you the up and down and is suspicious for a moment, but then kind of turns and he says, I agree. For the sake of Bartholonude, I shall take on this burden. And then he extends his hand and you grab it and just kind of leap from Bartholonude's shoulders onto Vicewine's, and you just kind of sit down on his shoulders and you guys continue.
Yeah. And once I'm up on his shoulders where he can't see my face anymore, I'm grinning diabolically.
He looks like Mini-Me whenever he's mimicking Dr.
He's got his
Evil.
pinky extended.
Rest in peace, Ventroyer.
So Hamilton has just jumped on top of Vicewine and is now just being carried. Hamilton, you do notice that Vicewine has just kind of accepted that what's happening, and he has made no intent. And as you kind of look, or you're trying to observe his armor, observe his actions, observe what he's doing, you're making no assessments that lead you to believe that there's anything malicious about what he's doing. It appears to you that his sole purpose is to figure out exactly what's going on, and regardless of his intentions or his the appeared relationship that may be masking what his true intentions are, that at the moment the only thing you can tell is he does have Neverwinter's best interests at heart. There is some reason, or there is some reason for him to have complete and total. His constitution is solely focused on this task. So
what you're saying is that following my investigation of him, I find absolutely nothing at all that makes me think that I cannot trust him.
at the moment, yes.
At the moment.
At the moment, yes.
So
I don't say it like that just because you will find something.
Yeah.
I just mean
Yeah.
that's what the story's lending to.
So I want to open up a dialogue with him then.
Okay.
And I want to say, Vicewine, I apologize for my rough behavior whenever we first met. I have to admit that I still don't fully trust you, but I can sense that we have similar goals in mind. So until we accomplish whatever goals we have set in front of us, I will trust you. After that point, though, I really don't give a shit about you.
So Vicewine as you're saying this, is climbing over a root, and he puts his hand on your leg as to hold you like tightly, so that way as you're climbing you don't fall. And as he's climbing, he says, "It is wise to not trust a stranger, especially in today's day and age. I have heard tales of what has befell Neverwinter in the night, the strange beasts that have come there, and to trust any stranger in this dire time, would be unwise."
Okay, so in a gesture of kindness, then I would like to also just say, I would like to smoke my tobacco pipe if you don't mind. Would that bother you if I do that?
It would not.
Wonderful.
Be wary of our traveling. It may knock your pipe wild.
I'll knock your pipe.
He doesn't want you to drop. He doesn't want you to drop it on his head or burn him or anything. So as you guys are walking, it's been a good like 7 hours. You guys have been constantly going, and as you guys are going, Viswine turns and says, "It would be wise to take a rest," and stops. There really is no place to set up camp. The trees are too thick, the roots have grown too high, the plants are too high, and without the tents and bags that you guys have, without just sitting your back up against a tree, I mean that's about all the options that you guys have.
So as we come to this stop, I take out my dagger in my hand and hold it as if I'm going to stab something.
Okay.
And with the biggest leap, I try to get as high up in a tree as I can, and I stab the tree to try to get some hold. And I continue to try to climb up this tree to try to get a little bit of perspective, a lay of the land, to kind of see. This is a mountain, and we're currently in a forest. So this would give us perspective on where we are.
Okay, so you guys are walking by the bank of the river, and these trees have grown to a tremendous height. So that's fine. Just go ahead and give me an athletics check. Also, do you have a dagger in your inventory?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Is this athletics or acrobatics? Because I'm jumping in
It'd
shit.
be athletics because you're using both strength and acrobatics, so I feel like that's athletics.
Okay. 16.
16? Okay. So you jump and you dig your dagger into this tree, and you kind of wrap your arm as you're large dragonborn. You wrap your arm as much as you can around it to get hold, and you continue to stab and pull yourself higher. And as you're getting higher, you notice there begins to be light as you're getting higher, and you get into the branches of the tree, and you're able to use the branches to kind of climb your way to the top. And as you get to the top, you kind of brush the leaves to the side, and as you get to the top, you poke your way out, and the light begins to just shine down up on top of you. It's almost refreshing. You're able to breathe again. You're able to see. All your senses are coming back to you. And as you look around, you see miles away, just treetops and just nothing but just leaves and trees and green. And as you look to the side, or you look off to the northwest, you see Mount Hatanau with there's smoke rolling from the peak of this mountain. And as you're watching the smoke, you kind of look down into the trees to attempt to yell back down to your companions, but you're unsure as you look into the darkness of what else might be in the forest. So you look back off to the mountain, and as you're watching Mount Hatanau smoke, there's a violent explosion. And rocks and lava shoot all over the trees off to the side of the mountain, and as you're watching, the forest catches fire. And you look down and you start to climb back down the tree. So you get to the bottom of the tree, and the light, Christopher, has continued to shine it off your shield, so you can see where you're headed. You've been very careful to get back down. So you get down to the bottom, and what do you want to do?
I make my final leap from the branches onto the ground, and the thump draws their attention. And as they look toward me, I say, "From the tips of these trees, I can see our destination. But unfortunately, I have some dire news. An explosion from the base of the mountain has caused a fire to spread amongst the forest. We must decide a plan of action if we continue to get to our destination.
Let us get closer and swim under the mountain and make our way into it.
We are going to choose between hot air and hot water.
Weisswein speaks up and he, I advise strongly against getting in the water. We have seen the adverse effects that it's had on Bartholonude, and he drank but a small amount. I do not recommend getting in the water, especially after an explosion. We know not of what happens and how this water is heated. Weisswein, after saying that, turns back around to the entire group and says, "We should make haste. If the mountain is as unstable as it is, we must get there. I believe that is where the source of the magic resides." And he begins to just traverse as you guys are still standing there.
No, I'm going with him.
You
Like
follow?
I'm straight up, yeah. Like I'm walking. He's behind me. I'm still at the source of light. I'm just going, and he's gonna tell me. He tells me which way to turn if I need to turn.
Okay.
I'm still going.
I want
Like,
to ask
If the mountain is exploding, then how do you propose we to get in?
I only saw the mountain explode, and flames begin to spread among the forest we are now traversing. The closer we get, the more trouble it may pose for us to actually get to the base of the mountain.
So, and as he says that, Weisswein speaks up. The more trouble it may cause, but the likelihood that we can figure out what to do next will be greater. We must go to the basin of the mountain and reassess when we are there.
All right.
So he continues to charge forward.
Hamilton, what do you think?
He doesn't have a choice. He's on fucking Weisswein's shoulder.
Yeah, he's already moving.
He fell asleep.
I mean, I'm sticking with Weisswein.
That's the way I am too.
Yeah.
So as we come back to this moment of beginning our travels again, I want to walk over to the water and just reach down and feel, just to make sure that it's still as hot as it once was, or to try to gauge whether or not it's hotter.
So you slip your hands into the water, and it burns your hand.
And then I yoink it back real quick.
Okay.
yoink it.
Yoinks it.
So you can tell that the water has grown hotter, even in it's been probably about 10 hours since you guys have started into the woods.
It is for sure hotter now.
So now that my hand is wet, I just lick my hand just to taste, just to see, because before the taste was electric. It was invigorating. And with just that little bit of sense of knowing what it was like, I might be able to taste how much it has grown.
It tastes like Big Red gum.
You don't chew Big Red.
No, so you
Not brought to you by Big
you
Red
put
gum.
your scaly hand to your mouth and you kind of lick the water off your hands, and as you do, the droplets of water hit your tongue and they just kind of absorb in, and you're like, you feel that invigorating sense, but nothing crazy happens, as the amount of water that you just absorbed was not enough to really do much, but you feel it and you taste it, and there's like the shocking feeling in your tongue as you take this water in. You hear Weisswein, who's probably about 10-15 feet away from you, yell, "Everyone stop!" And there is a silence it is deafening, and everyone is just completely quiet. And then you hear shuffling, and you hear branches breaking, and you hear a howl that just breaks the silence. And everyone is scrambling to try to figure out where it's coming from. As you're in this darkness with this one central point of light, and you can't really see anything beyond the radius of this shield. So everyone is scrambling to look around. Weisswein raises his shield and draws his sword, and he yells, "Everyone, on your guard!"